I merely peed in a corner and was immediately dragged into the heavenly prison by a group of soldiers, becoming a death row inmate, simply because the passing Princess King Feng happened to see me peeing. The emperor, in a fit of rage upon seeing it, threw me into the great prison, decreeing my exile to the frontier on a chosen day. Just as I, in utter despair, quietly contemplated death, a sound suddenly echoed in my mind, a notification sound. To my surprise, I had awakened the god of slaughter system. As long as I kept killing enemies, I would grow stronger. But right now, I was just a prisoner waiting to die. Where could I find enemies to level up? Before I could come up with a plan, the cell door was opened by a jailer. He pushed in a fierce-looking prisoner. The prisoner stopped dead when he saw me, then walked towards me. My inner thought was, "You're Su Cheng. You've got the wrong person, haven't you? What's with the act? That lecherous face, even if you turn to ash, I'd recognize you. You even dared to scheme against Princess King Feng. You've got some nerve." A sudden thought struck me. This guy knows all my details. He's clearly here for me. Someone paid to buy your life. Be careful in your next one. As soon as he finished speaking, the man swung the heavy, dozens of pounds shackles in his hand. He brought them down hard on my head. My pupils suddenly constricted. If I took that hit, I wouldn't survive on the spot. The will to survive made me instinctively dodge the attack. The shackles slammed heavily into the wall, leaving a dent. The other prisoners in the cell watched with indifference. As I dodged the blow, the man, enraged, lifted his leg and kicked me fiercely. I couldn't dodge in time, and my chest took the full force of it. Sharp pain instantly filled my entire body. Pushed to the brink, I decided to fight to the death. Before he could regain his balance, I charged at him like a madman. I slammed into him violently. Before the man could stand, I knocked him to the ground. "Since you want my life, I'll send you to your maker first." I desperately used the cold shackles in my hand to strangle him. No matter how he punched and kicked, I dared not let go. Only one thought remained in my mind: strangle him to death. I don't know how long passed, but the man finally stopped struggling and became completely still. I gasped for air, the thrill of surviving making my hands unable to stop trembling. Suddenly, a cold, mechanical voice echoed in my mind. "Congratulations, host. Enemy killed. Kill count 1. Reward. Attribute points 0.5. Oh, this is the system's ability. As long as a target holds hostility towards me and is judged by the system as an enemy, killing them grants attribute points." I quickly brought up the attribute panel and looked at my pitiful attributes. I didn't hesitate for a moment. I didn't hesitate to put the newly acquired. The next second, a warm current washed over my entire body. My depleted stamina instantly refilled, and I even felt more energetic than before. I looked at the attribute panel again. Good stuff. Kill 1, and you get stronger. If I kill a few more, wouldn't I be able to walk around this place with impunity? My gaze swept over the other death row inmates in the cell. Everyone felt a chill from my stare. None of them dared to meet my gaze. I couldn't help but feel a pang of regret. Too bad these people didn't have killing intent towards me. They weren't considered enemies, so it was a waste of this group of potential experience points. At this moment, the sound of a jailer's footsteps came from the corridor. I quickly wiped the blood from my face, leaned against the wall, and pretended nothing had happened. The jailer glanced at the cell, saw the motionless man lying on the ground, and surprisingly, without a word, turned and left. For the next few days, the cell was unusually quiet, but I was almost starving mad. Due to the increase in my physique, my appetite also grew. 2 steamed buns a day were like a drop in the ocean for me. Every day I was so hungry, I was on the verge of collapse, wishing I could eat grass to fill my stomach. Heavens, if you don't, give me a full meal soon. I'll starve to death on this angry path. Just as I was howling at the sky, the jailer finally came to inform us to get on the road. The other prisoners' faces were ashen. Exile to the frontier was a path of 9 deaths and 1 life, but my face was filled with anticipation. Finally, the more chaotic the frontier, the better. The more chaos, the more enemies, and the more I can kill to level up and fill my stomach. A dozen or so prisoners were chained together by a thick iron chain around their necks. I, unfortunately, was placed first, dragging a long line of stumbling prisoners behind me. Already lightheaded from hunger, every step I took felt incredibly difficult. Naturally, this slowed down the entire team. The leader of the escort was a fierce-looking officer with thick eyebrows and large eyes. He rode on horseback, raising his whip, and cursed at me. "What are you dawdling for? Are you a turtle? If we don't reach the post station before dark, I'll skin you alive." My hide I hissed through gritted teeth. forcing myself to quicken my pace. A mouthful of... The team finally stopped for a rest at the edge of a forest. The escorting soldiers sat together, chewing on dried meat. The tempting aroma wafted directly to my senses, making us, prisoners only able to watch, desperately swallowing our saliva. Seeing the soldiers eating with greasy mouths, I simply closed my eyes. Out of sight, out of mind, I leaned against a tree to rest. Just as I was drifting off to sleep, a faint vibration came from the ground. I suddenly opened my eyes. Before I could fully recover, the urgent sound of hooves was already close. 5 men on fast horses, clad in soft armor, charged menacingly toward the trees. At the edge of the forest, the leader, man with a foxy face and sideburns, had eyes full of murderous intent. "Which one is Xianxia? Get out here and die," my heart sank. It seemed someone was determined not to let me reach the frontier alive. Before I could open my mouth, the square-faced man from my cell immediately jumped out of the crowd, pointed at my nose, and shouted, "It's him!" I heard that name in the cell. I stared intently at the square-faced man, silently vowing to settle this score. The fox-faced man grinned, stepping closer to me. "So, you're a coward? In that case, I'll send you on your way." Before his words fully fell, the fox-faced man swung the large saber in his hand fiercely towards me. I was tied to the others and had nowhere to hide, so I could only brace myself and raise the iron chains on my hands to block. With a crisp clang, my wrists didn't break. Instead, the shackles on my hands were split open. We both froze for a moment, but I reacted faster than him. Seizing his moment of surprise, I snatched the saber from his hand and, with a backhand horizontal slash, sent the fox-faced man to his grave. This scene left everyone stunned. Who would have thought that I, a lamb waiting to be slaughtered a second ago, would suddenly rise up, counterkill, and take down the assassin leader? At this moment, in my mind, the system notification also rang. I didn't hesitate for a moment. I immediately put all the newly acquired attribute points into physique. The next instant, a warm current washed over my entire body. The fatigue accumulated from days of travel instantly vanished. It felt as if I had endless strength. Looking at the remaining 4 assassins, what kind of threat were they to me now? Threat? One of them, enraged by me, revealed a fatal flaw. I instantly seized the opportunity and cut him down with a single saber strike. I didn't hear a system notification. He wasn't completely dead. Just as I was about to deliver another blow, a squad of soldiers suddenly burst out from the bushes behind me. The leader was none other than the thick-browed officer. Where did these bandits come from, daring to attack a military escort? The remaining 3 assassins, seeing the overwhelming odds, turned and fled deeper into the forest. I cursed silently, blaming the soldiers for coming at the wrong time, scaring away my attribute points. I turned and gave the not quite dead one on the ground a fatal blow. This 0.2. I'll save it for emergencies. You did it. Right reason. If he doesn't die, I die. What other reason do you need? Who are they? Officer. I'm puzzled too. Why don't you go down and ask them? The thick-browed officer gave me a deep look, but ultimately didn't ask further. He just ordered someone to replace my shackles. He had actually witnessed the entire process from the shadows. He was probably wondering how a death row inmate, who hadn't eaten for days, could possess such brute strength to counterkill trained assassins. That night, we were locked in the temporary jail cell of the post station. Everyone was dog-tired, except for me, who was full of vigor. The others instinctively kept their distance from me, especially the square-faced man who had pointed me out earlier, so scared of my retaliation that he didn't dare to lift his head. When the inn's waiter brought steamed buns, a group of people immediately rushed forward. Only the square-faced man dared not move. I stared intently at him. He also knew I was watching him. "If you don't take it, I'm taking it back," with the inn waiter's urging. The square-faced man couldn't bear the hunger any longer and was about to get up for a bun. I also stood up. His face was full of terror. "Don't go too far, too far. Why weren't you too far when you betrayed me?" I swung my shackles and slammed them towards him. The square-faced man screamed for help from the inn waiter, but the waiter didn't even glance our way and left without looking back. The square-faced man instantly fell into despair, the fear in his eyes gradually turning into madness. He thought, "I'm going to die anyway. Might as well fight for it," but as soon as he charged, he was sent flying by a single swing of my shackles. Ding. Kill count, 1. Reward, attribute points 0.1. Remaining attribute points, 0.1. Only 0.1. The night passed without a word. Early next morning, the inn waiter arrived on time with food. Strangely, this time no one dared to move. All the prisoners stared at me eagerly. the former death row inmate from before bent, his face full of smiles, and approached me. "Brave, sir. Please. You first. Please." I froze for a moment, then sneered. "You guys aren't eating, you're not eating. So even if we borrowed courage, you wouldn't dare to. I didn't stand on ceremony with them." I took 2 steamed buns and devoured them. Just then, the thick-browed officer came to inspect, and immediately saw the lifeless, square-faced man lying on the ground. Who did this? No one in the cell responded. Only the sound of me gnawing on a bun. The thick-browed officer came before me and asked condescendingly, "How did he die?" "Officer, I was sleeping like a pig. How would I know then? How do you explain the blood on your shackles? How do I explain that I raised my hand to look?" And indeed, there was a dried blood stain on the shackles. And these were new shackles, just replaced yesterday. For a moment, I couldn't explain the origin of the blood stain. This was truly strange. How could there be blood on my shackles? Or perhaps, "Officer, you could replace them with new ones for me." "Stop your chatter. Confess honestly." "Confess? What? We're all prisoners with our heads on our belts. Dying halfway is normal. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll kick the bucket too." "Right." Officer, the thick-browed officer stared intently at me, as if trying to discern something from my face. Finally, he snorted coldly, said nothing, and turned to leave. The team continued on its way to the frontier, without yesterday's attribute boost and with nothing in my stomach. My steps were noticeably heavy. As long as I slowed down at the front, the entire team would have to slow down. The thick-browed officer, riding on his horse, roared at me, "Hurry up." Was that swagger from yesterday? I curled my lips, forced down my anger, and quickened my pace. As the saying goes, when under someone's roof, one must bow one's head when the sun was high. The team stopped at a small river to rest. The prisoners all collapsed on the ground. Just as I sat down to stretch my legs, the thick-browed officer threw a bucket into my arms. "Go fetch water." "Everyone's thirsty, officer. How can he work like this?" "Untie him," with the thick-browed officer's command. The soldiers immediately stepped forward and unlocked my chains. But he specifically had 2 people watch me closely. "Don't let him pull any tricks." I carried the bucket and walked to the river. As soon as I returned with water, the other death row inmates pounced like wolves to snatch it. Before I could catch my breath, the thick-browed officer blocked my way again. "Go get some fish from the river. Can't you see your brothers are starving?" "Sorry. If you want to eat, go get it yourself." "Catch it yourself, you dare defy orders." The atmosphere instantly froze to an icy point. The thick-browed officer's hand rested on his saber hilt. I showed no weakness and glared back fiercely. "First fetch water, then catch fish. Soon, will I have to start a fire and feed you too? I'm a death row inmate, not your slave." Just as things were about to escalate, the old man from the same cell, Gulu, suddenly approached with a fawning expression. "Officer, I can catch fish. I'll go with him, go." On the way to the river, Gulaoyao sidled up to me, grinning. "Old man, watch my skills for a bit. Why are you helping me? I admire you. You're a real man. This journey is dangerous. We have to look out for each other." Back in my hometown, I was quite a figure too, known by the nickname White Stripe. In the waves, you're surnamed Zhang, and I'm surnamed Gu. Never mind, then I didn't expect the old man to actually have some skills. Even with shackles, he could move freely in the water. Before long, he caught several large fish. When we returned to the shore, the thick-browed officer looked at the fish on the ground without even lifting an eyelid. "Clean them and roast them." "Don't tell me you can't." I don't want to say it a second time. I wasn't made of mud. This was clearly a deliberate attempt to put me in my place. Just as I was about to act up, Gulaoyao jumped out to mediate again. "Officer, I can roast them. Just give me some salt." The thick-browed officer gave me a cold glance and had someone throw a small bag of salt to Gulaoyao, then turned and left. I plopped down on the ground, thinking, I'll settle this score sooner or later. Gulaoyao, while skillfully gutting and roasting the fish, quietly comforted me. "Brave, sir. Don't take it to heart. You can't fight City Hall. Just endure it, and it'll pass. You're called White Stripe in the waves. Why not just change it to Ninja Turtle? That name's not bad either." I was speechless. It was the first time I'd seen someone willingly call themselves a turtle. Gulaoyao quickly roasted the fish. Then, with a fawning expression, delivered them to the soldiers. Only then did he sneak back and hand me half a steamed bun. "I borrowed this early this morning. Let's share it. What do you want in return?" "Brave, sir, to look after me. I want to live to reach the front, kill a few more barbarians, and maybe even become a general." Crazy. A death row inmate becoming a general. That's a pipe dream, but I didn't pour cold water on him. In this hellish place, having something to hope for is always good. After that, the days were simply unbearable. During the day, we rushed desperately, and at night, The soldiers ordered us around. I was so hungry my eyes were green, relying entirely on the steamed buns Gu Laoyao stole. To keep me going, I had always saved the attribute points I accumulated. They were my only trump card. On the 10th day, the thick-browed officer suddenly called me into his room alone. On the table was steaming braised beef. The tempting aroma made my stomach clench. He took a bite in front of me, then threw it on the ground like he was feeding a dog. Eat it, I'm hungry, but I don't eat food given with contempt. Death row inmate, still pretending to be tough. If you dare cause trouble again, I have plenty of ways to deal with you. Just you wait, a new team merged with ours, and the already crowded cell was now packed with 50 more people. I was so tired my body felt like it was falling apart. As soon as I sat down, Gu Laoyao pulled out 2 more steamed buns and handed them to me. Just as I reached out to take them, a dirty hand intercepted them. It was a one-eyed man who acted. He ate the buns clean right in front of me. Then, with a provocative look, said, "Tastes good. Consider it your filial piety to this old man." Gu Laoyao tried to snatch them back, but was kicked away by the one-eyed man. Soldiers bully me, and I endure it. But a death row inmate dares to ride on my head. What are you looking at? I've got dozens of lives on my back. You think I'm scared of you? A murderer? How impressive, the one-eyed man, provoked, angrily threw a punch at my face. I didn't dodge, meeting his fist with a punch of my own. With a crisp crack, a clear sound of bones breaking echoed through the cell. The one-eyed man's arm hung limply. His entire arm was directly shattered. With this hand, you killed several, dozens of people. Huh? I sidestepped, dodging, and brought a hand chop down on his arm. Crack, another crisp sound, and his arm broke directly. The one-eyed man collapsed on the ground, retreating in terror. The arrogance from before was long gone from his eyes. I approached him step by step, staring fiercely. So, this is the one with dozens of lives on his hands. Your bones are really tough. How the one-eyed man's 2 hands were both crippled by me. The excruciating pain twisted his entire face. I expressionlessly picked up a small iron rod, weighed it in my hand, and let my gaze wander over him, as if choosing where to strike. The one-eyed man broke down. Sir, I made it all up. I'm not a murderer. The dozens of people, lives were also made up. Really? I was a pig butcher's apprentice and accidentally stabbed my master to death. That's how I ended up here. I truly don't have the guts to kill anyone, was it intentional or not. I have a way to verify what you say, as long as I can do it. Simple. Go down and ask your master. The one-eyed man froze, then roared, "You're playing with me. Even as a ghost, I won't let you off." The cell fell silent once more. Everyone's gaze towards me changed. It was the fear of a madman. Only Gu Laoyao had a complex look in his eyes. He had never seen such a brutal side of me. I sat back in the corner, faintly feeling that I had been too heavy-handed. Boss, kill 1 to warn 100. No one will dare provoke us again, no. I just purely wanted to kill him. I didn't think that much. Gu Laoyao fell silent. Only I knew this was the truth. The anger suppressed for too long, always needed an outlet. I glanced at the attribute panel. Physique 2.3, remaining assignable attributes. 0.3, only 0.1, the night passed without a word. Early next morning, the thick-browed officer came to inspect the cell. As soon as he entered, he saw the thoroughly dead one-eyed man. His face was gloomy, but he said nothing, not even ordering breakfast. He directly commanded everyone to get on the road. The entire team marched silently. No one dared to frown at this time. Although I was hungry, with the system's boost, I didn't walk slowly. By noon, the team stopped in a mountain hollow to rest. Several wild pear trees on the mountain were laden with fruit. Although not yet ripe, the green, fruity aroma enticed everyone's appetite. Someone bravely went to ask the thick-browed officer. Unexpectedly, this living king of hell actually nodded in agreement. After getting permission, the death row inmates rushed up the mountain like unleashed dogs, picking fruit and putting it into their mouths. Soon, except for me and Gu Laoyao, almost everyone had gone up the mountain. This made Gu Laoyao extremely anxious. Bastard, let go of that in the mountain hollow. Only I and the thick-browed officer remained. Our eyes locked. The air seemed to freeze. Finally, he stood up and walked towards me. You killed the man last night. Didn't you reason? He stole my steamed bun. Nonsense. Are you challenging me? I wouldn't dare, then you're just naturally fond of killing. That's right. Since you love killing so much, I'll make sure you live to reach the frontier and kill to your heart's content. Let me be clear. Tiger Roar Camp will be your burial ground. Tiger Roar Camp. What kind of place is that? Just as I was quickly searching my memory for information about Tiger Roar Camp. The thick-browed officer suddenly whistled towards the mountain. Immediately, the soldiers on the mountain and prisoners began to descend. After everyone had gathered, the thick-browed officer ordered the Exile team to continue on their way. The death row inmates, having eaten their fill of pears, walked with noticeably lighter steps. Gu Laoyao, burping, sidled over to me. "Boss, I'm sorry. I couldn't get you any pears." "Old Gu, have you heard of Tiger Roar Camp?" "Boss, why are you asking about that? That's the King of Hell's palace for death row inmates. Not a single person who goes in comes out alive, how do you know?" "I escaped from the northern wilderness once. The commander there is called Mountain Tiger. He uses death row inmates as cannon fodder. The death rate is the highest, but he also kills the most northern barbarians. In short, he's a madman." Gu Laoyao's face instantly turned pale. He swallowed, his voice trembling. "I hope I don't get assigned to there." I listened, then smiled. "Sounds good. Quite suitable for me. I'm serious. That place lets you kill openly, and kill northern barbarians at that." Gu Laoyao looked at me like I was a madman. Seeing the fanaticism in my eyes, Gu Laoyao fell silent. Indeed, for a killing maniac, that place truly was heaven. The thick-browed officer, riding on his horse, watched me with cold eyes and an expectant expression, a sneer playing at the corner of his lips. "You don't know what's good for you. You'll have plenty to cry about once you enter Tiger Roar Camp." A month later, the team arrived at the northern frontier's edge. A cold wind, mixed with the smell of blood, assailed us. It was the scent of the battlefield. The further north we went, the more corpses there were. Imperial soldiers, northern barbarians, and unlucky wretches in prisoner uniforms. Most of their heads had been cut off. The death row inmates were so scared they didn't dare to look up, fearing they might see their future selves. Gu Laoyao also became quiet and withdrawn. A few days later, in front of a military camp, the soldiers unlocked his chains. He forced a smile that was uglier than a cry. I patted his shoulder. His shoulders slumped. Without looking back, he walked with heavy steps into the military camp. That retreating figure was probably his final farewell. "The rest of you, follow me to Tiger Roar Camp." The team now consisted of only the last 10 people. The thick-browed officer pointed his horsewhip. The other death row inmates watched me with schadenfreude, as if I were already a dead man. I followed expressionlessly. On the way, the thick-browed officer threw over a bag. I opened it to see braised beef. "Keep it for yourself to eat in your next life," I sneered, and without a word, threw it back. The thick-browed officer put away the beef, the murderous intent in his eyes growing stronger. "You have guts." This was the final test. If I had eaten it, perhaps I could have gone to a regular military camp. Since I didn't, then I could only go to Tiger Roar Camp to die. Just as I wished. That night, the thick-browed officer tied my hands and feet securely, then went to sleep. In the middle of the night, a dense sound of hooves woke me. After my physique doubled, my senses were even sharper than a beast's. "Don't move. It's the northern barbarian cavalry. Untie me, or we'll all die." "No. The chains rattling will expose us." The thick-browed officer suddenly pressed me down. We both lay in the grass, not daring to breathe. The sound of hooves grew closer, making the ground tremble. I grew anxious. As we were in a stalemate, the sound of hooves gradually faded into the distance. I breathed a sigh of relief. "Can you untie me now?" "They've all left, so what's the point of untying?" "What if they double back?" "Shut your crow's mouth," before his words finished. A roar erupted from above. "Who's there?" "Get out!" The thick-browed officer's face turned green. I didn't even care to curse. These barbarians really hadn't left. "Untie me quickly. Do you really want to die together?" The thick-browed officer gritted his teeth and pulled out the key. As soon as he unlocked the chains, several dark figures surrounded us. By moonlight, I clearly saw their towering, iron tower-like physiques. Gu Laoyao's eyebrows twitched. These northern barbarians were built like mountains, and in front of them, I was as thin as a chick. I swallowed, thinking, this time, I'm dead for sure. In the night, the barbarian scimitars reflected several cold glints. I instantly saw 3 people, 3 towering, muscular strongmen. Their muscles bulged like granite. This was the power that crushed Imperial soldiers. They hadn't noticed me yet. I was figuring out how to escape when the thick-browed officer officer's saber clashed with a curved saber, sparks flying everywhere. He was pushed back. All the barbarian's strength was vastly superior. Points attribute point allocation failed. Reason: host is too ugly system daddy. Your host is about to die. Then no one will find a system wife for you. Attribute allocation successful on the other side. Two barbarians swung their sabers at me. A warm current erupted, power surging through my entire body. I held up the iron chains, not retreating, but instead, I struck. My fist slammed into a scimitar. Clang, metal met metal. Sparks flew. Two barbarians were forced back 3 steps, while I stood firm as a mountain. The thick-browed officer watched in astonishment, his moves even faltering. Where did this Central Plains man get such great strength go down? A great saber flew towards me with a whoosh. I grabbed it, and with a backhand slash, cracked the scimitar snapped in half. The barbarian, with a look of terror, hadn't even reacted before I sliced off his head with a single strike. Kill count, 1. Reward, attribute points. Another barbarian, eyes red, charged forward. My eyes were bloodshot. I met him with a frontal slash, splitting both him and his saber in half. The thick-browed officer was completely stunned. That's not fighting. It's simply like chopping melons and dicing vegetables. The last barbarian, seeing the situation was bad, turned and ran. He blew a whistle. A black horse darted out, carrying him away at a gallop. Damn. He's gone to call for people. Did he even ask me before running off? I can't catch a horse, so I simply stopped. Gathering all my strength, I fiercely threw the great saber in my hand. The long saber pierced through his back. Blood splattered, but he didn't fall off, lying prone on the horse's back. The thick-browed officer was furious. It's over. He got away, the system prompted. Kill count, 1. I calmly clapped my hands. Don't worry. He's dead through and through. You're going to the 9 streams. I traveled all night until dawn, when I encountered a pair of Imperial Patrol cavalry. They pointed out the direction of Tiger Mike Camp. The way those cavalrymen looked at me was very strange, as if they were looking at a dead man. After crossing a hill, Tiger Mike Camp was reached, but before entering the gate, the overwhelming stench of blood almost made me vomit. On the main gate's crossbeam, rows upon rows of barbarian heads were densely hung. Some were already rotted into holes. Crows pecked at the shredded flesh on them. I swallowed a mouthful of saliva. This mountain lake shore has a unique way of decorating, the thick-browed officer sneered. What? Scared already? Too late, I grinned. Afraid of what? Hell? This place is exactly to my taste. 2 burly men blocked the way at the entrance. Hearing I was a death row inmate, their eyes lit up slightly. Another one coming to die. A meat shield. So thin. How many arrows can he block? Be content. The last batch all died. Let's go. Entering the camp, screams rose and fell. Several barbarians were tied to stakes, their skin torn and flesh exposed from torture. The thick-browed officer handed me over to a soldier and left. Don't cause trouble, the soldier led me to a dim cell. After saying that, he pushed me in and closed the door. The cell was pitch black. As soon as I took a step, I tripped over something. I looked down and saw a dead man, already stiff. No wonder I heard. So he died here. The soldier came back again, mumbling and grumbling, dragged the corpse away. The cell plunged back into darkness. I leaned against the corner, thinking, this place truly lives up to its reputation. Even the cells come with corpses. I was too tired. I vaguely fell asleep. Between waking and sleeping, I suddenly felt the cell door open. Then the thick-browed officer appeared at the door. Regretted I rubbed my eyes, not knowing why the thick-browed officer suddenly. No regrets, he nodded, said nothing more, and turned to leave. Wait a minute. Why didn't you kill me along the way? Why should I kill you? Didn't someone want my life? You want to know who I'm? All ears. Dead men don't need to know. Hey, that's not fair. I'm about to die, and you won't even let me die knowing the truth. And stop trying to test me with braised beef. I don't eat beef. Also, I'll give you a knife. Next time, I'll return you a better one. The thick-browed officer didn't stop. A sneer curled on his lips. He shook his head and left. I was left alone in the cell. Opening the system panel. Jiang, this is truly a sacred land for cultivation. In just a few days, I've accumulated so many remaining attribute points. 1. 7. I waited until evening. The cell door opened, and several blood-soaked people walked in. They didn't look at me, each finding a place to sit. Finally, a scrawny old man came in, carrying a lantern. He was clean. Oh, a newcomer. Such tender skin. What did you do? The old man smiled and sat beside me. Let's not talk about the past. My name is Su Cheng. Here, we don't use names. We use nicknames. You can call me Skinny Horse, I grinned. All right then, you can call me Wang Wang. Little Su. Little Su. Interesting. Where did you guys go? Why are you all covered in blood? Went to fight the grasslands, fighting the grasslands here. Killing northern barbarians is called fighting the grasslands, I nodded. It seems none of them are just then. A soldier brought a large basket of steamed buns and a bucket of wine. Skinny Horse said, "You're new here. Today, take as much as you want. From now on, you'll queue according to your kill count. No kills, no food. I like this rule. Strength is supreme. I took 5 large meat buns. Behind me, a hulking idiot like an iron tower took 10 buns and gulped down half a bucket of wine. Then there was a woman with a bulging chest, with a red, alluring flower on her face. She took 2 buns and glanced disdainfully at the bucket, then left. Skinny Horse teased, "Sister Butterfly, eat more, or you won't get enough nutrition." A crisp sound came from the darkness. Next was a pale, handsome young man. He daintily picked up a bun with a flower finger gesture. I got goosebumps watching him, and decided to stay far away from this effeminate guy. Finally, a small figure wrapped in a black robe burrowed into the basket and ate wildly. Skinny Horse explained, "Don't be scared. He's a good kid. He just eats messily." I swallowed the bun in my mouth. This place truly is full of hidden talent. Skinny Horse, drinking his wine, began to intro. Big Brother Fool is the young master of a Jianan gang. His entire gang was wiped out. Flower Butterfly escaped from a brothel, and when she kills, the flower on her face dances like a butterfly. That pretty boy is a prince's confidant. He hooked up with the prince's daughter and was sent in here. The pretty boy shrieked in protest. He's the one who hooked up with me. Then why is he so pale? Shen Zhu can be in this kind of place. Shen Zhu is also a talent. That shorty is the most miserable, isn't he? An evil cultivator turned him into this ghostly appearance. He killed his master, didn't get out, so he stayed here. I click my tongue in wonder. As for me, I'm just a rotten old man who knows how to use poison. Flower Butterfly sneered. The old poison ghost says he's just an ordinary old man. It's hilarious, the pretty boy added. Stay away from him. Be careful of getting poisoned. I was startled. So, masters are closed by? Skinny Horse asked, chuckling. Don't listen to their nonsense. So, the one who came in is probably the guy who caught the attention of Lord King Feng. Right? Skinny Horse spat out a mouthful of wine. Flower Butterfly chuckled in the darkness. Skinny Horse nodded. Then, you didn't come in here for nothing. It's a huge injustice. It's my loss. Okay. Then you have. What skills? I like killing people. From now on, leave the killing to me. Good. I'll grant your wish. Nothing happened overnight. The next morning, a soldier brought another basket of buns. Everyone lined up according to the rules. I consciously stood at the back. Skinny Horse handed me 5 buns. The shorty saved them for you. I looked at the shorty in the basket in surprise, and the shorty nodded. As I was eating, the door opened. Everyone immediately swallowed their buns and followed. A mountain goat lake came in. Everyone immediately swallowed their buns and followed mountain goat. Lake led us to a tent full of weapons. He tossed Skinny Horse a booklet and a few sheets. No problem. The North has been restless these past few days. Go, check what they're up to. Price, 1 merit point per kill. Catch a live one, 2 merit points. Deal. And by the way, take this cook with you to Mountain Goat Lake. After saying that, he left. A league chef. Judge what you're saying. What kind of slang is that? Skinny Horse chuckled and said, "You'll know later." Everyone, pack up and get ready to depart. After Skinny Horse finished speaking, everyone started moving. Big Brother Fool picked up a mace as tall as himself and hoisted it onto his shoulder. I was stunned. This mace must weigh hundreds of pounds. Right. Big Brother Fool truly has immense strength. Meanwhile, young Master Shen Zhu took a black iron rod, and I saw him seemingly caressing the iron rod. I got goosebumps. Flower Butterfly took a long whip, with barbs sticking out all along it. It made my hair stand on end. Truly a girl who's been in a brothel. The weapons she plays with are so elaborate. Only the shorty was left. He walked to the shelf and picked up a box. Is this your weapon? What's inside? This is my box. Inside are some fun trinkets. And he doesn't need a weapon. The shorty extended his hand and waved it. His fingernails, glinting with a cold light, seemed to tell me, these are my weapons. I nodded. Then I looked around, starting to choose my own weapon. I immediately spotted a great saber, because it looked remarkably similar to the one the thick-browed officer threw. I picked up the great saber and examined it carefully. The doubt in my heart grew stronger. How could there be two such similar sabers? You like it? Huh? He yesterday just put it on the shelf. It seems you have a strong connection with it. Where did this saber come from? Don't know. He picked it up yesterday. Skinny Horse pointed at the shorty. I understood. It seems this is very likely the saber the thick-browed officer was watching. Never thought, after all the twists and turns, it would return to my hands. This fate is truly wondrous. I hoisted the great saber onto my shoulder. The others had also chosen their weapons. Then everyone walked out of the tent. Outside the tent, a bald old man was standing in the open space. Behind him was a formation of neat and grim tiger might soldiers. The bald old man saw everyone come out and directly waved a hand at the tiger might soldiers behind him. Duh. The bald old man mounted his horse and rode at the very front of the Skinny Horse led a few people behind the bald old man. The tiger might soldiers followed behind them. I stared at the bald old man and whispered to Skinny Horse, how can there be a monk in the military camp? As soon as I finished speaking, I suddenly felt a palpable killing intent from the bald old man. However, with Skinny Horse's chuckle, the killing intent instantly vanished without a trace. You shouldn't speak carelessly. He naturally is just like that. He has no affinity with the Buddha. I nodded and didn't ask further, but I always intentionally or unintentionally wanted to look at that bald head. Until the sun broke through the dust and mist, I had to squint my eyes. The glare from the bald head was simply too. At this moment, the bald old man stopped. He dismounted and walked in front of Skinny Horse. Yes, sir. 3 barbarian red monkeys were found here. Which direction did they come from? Don't know. When we got here, they were already dead. 2 died here. Their heads were smashed open. Skinny Horse nodded. The bald old man then mounted his horse and continued on. The group traveled for another half day. This time, the bald old man came to a small puddle. He didn't approach the puddle but used his whip to point there and say, 3 red monkeys once watered their horses there. Then they headed east. Our men lost track of them. When they crossed a swamp, they suddenly accelerated. Our men couldn't keep up. Skinny Horse nodded again and said, you all wait here. We'll go take a look. The bald old man nodded. Skinny Horse then took me and a group of people, leaving the main force. When I looked back and couldn't see the bald old man, I asked, aren't they afraid we'll run away? The others didn't answer my question, as if the question was idiotic. Only Skinny Horse chuckled and said, you want to run? Where can you run to? Does the Empire want you? Or do the northern barbarians want you? I fell silent. Indeed, there was nowhere to go. If I escaped, I'd be a wanted criminal in the Empire, and one of their own among the northern barbarians. I looked up at the pale sky, feeling very displeased. This sky and vast earth, yet I can't go anywhere. If you want to escape, you can leave now. We'll go back and say you died. But if you are caught by them again, we'll all die together. I laughed and said, you underestimate me too much. I'm here to kill. Before I've had my fill of killing, I'm not going anywhere. Skinny Horse nodded in satisfaction. He said, there are 2 sentries up ahead. You and young Master Shenzhou go, take them out quietly. The cold-faced man rolled his eyes, seemingly accepting the nickname young Master Shenzhou. I looked around, left and right, and asked doubtfully, where are the sentries? How come I don't see them? I don't see them either. I heard him say it. Skinny Horse said, pointing at the shorty beside him. I asked curiously, when did he speak? How come I didn't hear anything? Just now, when you laughed. He pointed forward. Then he held up 2 fingers. I was so shocked my jaw almost dropped off. Holy cow, that works too. In battle, you need to observe more. Not only pay attention to the enemy, but also learn to cooperate with teammates. You'll learn these later. Go do your job first. I followed young Master Shenzhou, quietly moving forward. Sure enough, soon enough, I saw 2 horses grazing ahead. The barbarians' horses had no saddles and reins. At first glance, they looked like wild horses, but their masters were usually nearby. Young Master Shenzhou, fearing I wouldn't see the northern barbarians, specifically pointed out a small pit near the horses to me, indicating that the barbarians were hiding there. I nodded, young Master Shenzhou, and I then flanked the small pit from both sides. On the way to approach the barbarians, I quietly allocated my attribute points. Attribute allocation sucked. Remaining attribute points. 1, 6. A warm current instantly filled my body. This was a precious boost that no food could ever provide. I licked my lips, gripping the great saber in my hand, and charged forward. Young Master Shenzhou, who was still slowly approaching the pit from afar, was startled. Didn't we agree to sneak up? How come this kid directly charged in young Master Shenzhou immediately decided to abort the plan? Thinking it was crazy, he decisively abandoned his teammate. From afar, the few people observing me and young Master Shen Zhu's group still looked as usual. Skinny Horse was still chuckling. Big Brother Fool and the Shorty didn't care at all about what was happening ahead. Only Flower Butterfly was muttering softly. He looks quite normal. Skinny Horse chuckled and said, "Don't jump to conclusions so quickly. Let's wait a bit and see." The situation on the battlefield changes in an instant. 1,000 ways young Master Shenzhou was busy retreating, while I was busy charging. Just as young Master Shenzhou ran back, carrying his iron rod, I heard a sound from afar of screaming. Young Master Shenzhou began to mourn for me. He had never seen anyone fight like this. Northern barbarians aren't that easy to deal with. How can you just so foolishly run straight up? But just as young Master Shenzhou reached Flower Butterfly, he saw her looking ahead with a face full of surprise. "Don't look. That kid must have died terribly. Too bad. He only arrived yesterday." But Flower Butterfly interrupted young Master Shenzhou. "Look." Young Master Shenzhou turned his head to look. Puzzled. Immediately, his mouth dropped open in surprise. He saw me standing by the small pit, covered in blood. In front of me was a barbarian, split in half, roaring. The barbarian's face still held a furious glare, but his body slowly collapsed. I wiped a hand across the blood on my face. A figure darted out from behind me. It was another barbarian. That barbarian didn't charge at me, but instead ran straight for his warhorse. He clearly wanted to escape, but how could I let him have his way? I pushed off the ground and charged towards him. I raised the great saber in my hand and cleaved towards the barbarian. The barbarian's body just reached the horse when my great saber arrived. The saber, empowered by human strength. Continued. The system prompt sounded. Kill count, 1. Reward attribute points, 0, 5. I stood there like a blood-soaked Asura, my face filled with an expression of enjoyment. Young Master Shenzhou's mouth was open wide enough to fit 3 iron rods. He blankly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. 3 words popped out of his mouth. What a beast! Skinny Horse chuckled and said, "Didn't I tell you? Don't jump to conclusions," so early Flower Butterfly said with a complex look in her eyes. "We really underestimated him. His strength can rival big guys." Skinny Horse shook his head and said, "It's not the same. Big guy's mace alone weighs hundreds of pounds. So he can kill people, but it's not entirely his strength." Big guy rarely offered an opinion. "Indeed, it's different. If it were me, they'd be smashed into meat paste." When Big Brother Fool mentioned meat paste, the Shorty stuck out his dark red tongue and licked his lips. He seemed to be drooling. He finally managed to close his mouth. I had already walked back. Now I was covered in blood. But I didn't care about that. Instead, I used a piece of Skinny Horse chuckled as he approached me. "Well done. In my haste just now, I forgot to leave alive." One alive, I smiled sheepishly. Odd. They were just 2 red monkeys causing trouble. That's all. I was relieved Skinny Horse didn't blame me. My heart settled a little. It's just that I felt the others' gazes on me were a bit off. Flower Butterfly was all right. Her expression was always quite indifferent. But how come young Master Shenzhou's gaze on me was strange? I even felt a hint of danger. This feeling, I didn't even have it when I was fighting the 2 northern barbarians just now, at all. When I looked at young Master Shenzhou with an inquiring gaze, young Master Shenzhou immediately smiled. "Hey, quite fierce. You took them out all by yourself. I didn't care that young Master Shenzhou had abandoned me earlier. It's better if I go alone. That way, young Master Shenzhou won't steal my experience." I grinned and said, "Next time, I can handle this kind of thing by myself." "How can that be? We can't always let you do all the work alone. It's fine. I like killing people." As the 2 of them were talking, Skinny Horse interrupted them. "Enough idle talk. Their red heads are gone. They'll react quickly. We need to hurry and find their main force." Everyone nodded and then continued on their way. This time, they didn't search blindly, since the barbarians' red monkeys have already appeared. Then, their main force isn't far according to past experience. The barbarians' red monkeys are usually scattered a few miles around the main force, so they should soon encounter the main force sure enough. About a quarter of an hour later, the Shorty suddenly extended his hand and let out a low growl towards the front right. This time, I didn't need Skinny Horse to explain. I also knew that northern barbarians had appeared ahead. The main force has appeared. Everyone, Get ready as Skinny Horse gave the order. Everyone began to check their weapons. Big Brother Fool gripped his mace, while Shenzhou began to caress his iron rod. Skinny Horse opened the box on the shorty's back. He took out a small red bottle and sprinkled the powder inside on a flower butterfly's whip. As for the shorty, he had no weapon, so he licked his fingernails. I should be the most normal one in this group. I had already wiped my great saber dry and clean. After everyone was ready, Skinny Horse led everyone towards the front right. I was a bit excited now. I've only been out for half a day, and I've already gained an attribute point. I have to thank those barbarians, and soon I would meet the barbarians again. But before I could see the barbarians' main force, I heard bursts of roaring from afar. After a few people crossed a small hill, they saw a group of people fighting fiercely in the distance. I took a closer look. It was Imperial soldiers and barbarians fighting. The Imperial army was a mixed bunch. They were both soldiers and commoners. From those, commoners saw familiar clothes. They were a group of death row inmates. At this moment, the Imperial army was directing the death row inmates to charge. But they could only steel themselves and charge forward, because if they dared to turn back, great sabers would immediately cleave towards their heads. Deserting in battle was a dead end. Moving forward still offered a glimmer of hope. These death row inmates had no choice. They could only charge towards the distant barbarians. And the barbarians also, without any hesitation, wielding scimitars and riding horses, they reaped the lives of most of the death row inmates with just one charge. The remaining death row inmates immediately collapsed. Some knelt blankly on the ground, watching the headless corpses in front of them spurt blood. The next moment, their world began to spin. They again became headless corpses in the eyes of others. Some, terrified, fled in panic. Some of them ran towards, and others ran away. They wanted to escape this living hell, but the barbarians behind them immediately gave chase and reaped their lot. The death row inmates were no match for the barbarians and were quickly annihilated. I stood on the hilltop, silently watching all of this. If I were an ordinary person, then I should also be lying on that patch of grass now. At this moment, the Imperial soldiers below finally moved. After the death row inmates were all dead, they finally moved, but they didn't charge at the barbarians. Instead, they mounted their horses and fled into the distance. I was stunned. Did they just run away like that? Shouldn't it be their turn to charge? They only get 2 silver taels a month. Why would they risk their lives? The human shields are all dead. Of course they are retreating. It's time for us to go. Remember to leave their small leader alive. A roar filled with implicit meaning came from beside me. I saw Big Brother Fool swung his arm, fiercely flinging the shorty, who was clinging to his arm, away. The shorty let out another strange cry in midair and landed steadily on the ground. Then, on all fours, he charged towards the enemy. Big Brother Fool, behind him, was also incredibly fierce. Each step covered several meters. He brandished his mace as easily as young Master Shenzhou wielded his iron rod. Just as I was marveling at how strange the two of them were, piercing sound suddenly rang in my ear. Laughter. I was startled. I turned my head and saw the small flower on flower butterfly's face. In an instant, transformed into a blood-red butterfly. Then flower butterfly, truly like a butterfly, directly chased after the two ahead. At this moment, Shenzhou came up to me and said, "Her King Gong isn't bad." Right, but I didn't answer him. With a roar, I charged down. Young Master Shenzhou was startled. Then he followed closely behind me. Skinny Horse just stood on the hilltop, unmoving, merely chuckling as he watched us leave. The northern barbarians below were startled by the rising and falling, strange cries, but when they turned their heads, they only saw a few people coming down from the hilltop. They all laughed darkly. Just these few people aren't even enough for the barba. The rest all went to collect. But the next moment, the barbarians couldn't laugh anymore. The barbarian squad was instantly scattered. The shorty, suddenly like a wild beast, pounced on a barbarian. He opened his large mouth and bit down on the barbarian's neck. Instantly, a geyser of blood erupted. The shorty was drenched, all over, but he didn't care at all. Instead, he leaped towards another barbarian. The barbarian twitched continuously. His life force was slowly draining away. A massive mace ended everything for him. I saw Big Brother Fool kill a barbarian on the mountainside and was so anxious. I yelled loudly, but before I could rush down the mountain, Flower Butterfly on the other side also began to act. The barbarian's expression was ferocious, but Flower Butterfly was smiling very happily. Her whip lashed fiercely across the bare-chested barbarian's body, but only left a mark on the barba, a bloody welt. Such damage clearly couldn't kill the barbarian. The barbarians were stimulated by the pain on their bodies. They opened their mouths wide, wanting to grab Flower Butterfly. But the next moment, they found their hands had lost all sensation. They saw streaks of blood-red patterns from where the whip had left bloody welts, spreading out. Their speed was incredibly fast. In just an instant, they covered the barbarian's body. The next moment, these patterns suddenly burst open. The barbarian instantly turned into a pierced. They quickly fled from Flower Butterfly's whip. A chain reaction instantly began. People around Flower Butterfly all fell to the ground. They writhed on the ground in pain, rolling, but they couldn't stop the arrival of death. Flower Butterfly's surroundings. People all fell to the ground. They writhed on the ground in pain, but they couldn't stop the arrival of death. This time, I finally arrived. I grabbed my great saber and chopped at the nearest barbarian. But it was all too late. Before my great saber could cut the barbarian had already breathed his last. I didn't hear the system prompt. I was furious. I let out a strange cry and charged towards the other barbarians. While I was coming down the mountain, Big Brother Fool and the Shorty had already killed them. One injured, one finished them off. Their speed was incredibly fast. I finally understood why Big Brother Fool could be first in line for buns, while the Shorty was last in line. So, he was just picking up all the kills. I was extremely jealous, but also helpless, because Big Brother Fool and the Shorty's coordination was simply too good. I couldn't even intervene. And on the other side, Flower Butterfly's whip was also very fast. Anyone struck by her whip would, in just an instant, turn into a puddle of corruption from Skinny Horse's poison. By the time my great saber chopped down, the person was already thoroughly dead. I worked for a long time and got nothing. I yelled in frustration. Suddenly, I saw a barbarian in the distance. That barbarian was far from Big Brother Fool and Flower Butter, though he hadn't suffered their deadly attacks yet. I immediately let out a strange cry, like a wild wolf pouncing on a sheep. I charged towards the barbarians. I excitedly raised my greatsword and slashed towards a barbarian's head. From somewhere, a iron rod hit that barbarian's head square on. I was stunned then, following the direction the iron rod came from. I searched for the culprit and saw young Master Xianxia giving me a dark, knowing smile. How about that? I told you I wouldn't let you go alone next time. I spat a mouthful of spit. Damn it then. Cursing under my breath, I charged towards another barbarian, leaving young Master Xianxia scratching his head on the spot. I clearly just helped him, but why isn't he grateful? How could I have time to talk to young Master Xianxia now? I was so anxious I was almost going crazy. There were clearly countless golden loaves on this battlefield, but why couldn't I get even one? I couldn't help but curse. These people are truly too abnormal. They didn't even leave one for me. Seeing that the surrounding barbarians were about to be wiped out, I really had no choice. I looked towards the barbarians' main force. Then, with a roar, I charged forward. Their target this time was the Empire's people. Because the barbarians don't bring supplies when they fight. All their food, drink, and other necessities rely on plunder. And in the northern frontier, the only people the barbarians can plunder are the Empire's people. Therefore, they would come out to raid every now and then. This way, they could not only get supplies, but also harass the Empire's people. It was truly killing two birds with one stone. The leader of the barbarian squad was named Bolt. This time, he had brought out several dozen men. They had easily obtained several carts of grain and fodder. Only, if he brought the grain and fodder back, he would have completed his mission. But just as they had driven away the Empire's escort team, several people charged down from the mountain. At first, Bolt didn't pay them much mind. He just sent a dozen or so men to block them. And he discovered that most of his dispatched subordinates were already dead. There was even an Empire person charging towards their main force. Bolt then was enraged. Overestimating yourself. Empire scum Bolt mounted his warhorse and galloped towards me. Bow, wielding his scimitar, intended to kill me in one blow. I was anxiously looking for experience packs when suddenly, I saw someone charge out from the barbarian ranks. A person charged straight towards me. I was overjoyed then. This is an experience pack delivered right to my doorstep. I can't let him get away again thinking this. I ran even faster. Bolt's warhorse was also getting closer and closer to me. I raised the greatsword in my hand, and Bolt also raised the scimitar in his hand. Bolt smiled coldly. With a loud clang, the two blades collided. I was already prepared to see the scimitar shatter. But in reality, I was disappointed. The opponent's scimitar was actually completely unharmed in that strike. Bolt was also stunned. The one in his hand was a treasured blade bestowed by the tribal chief. In the past, it could always cut through the Empire's blades. But why was it different this time? Moreover, both of us had a common thought. The opponent's strength is great, physical quality is strong, and blade is also very powerful. I became cautious. In the past, a single punch from me would shatter an ordinary person's, but the barbarian on horseback was completely fine. And Bolt, regarding his own strike, thought it should have severely injured the Empire person. But the truth was not so. The opponent still stood in place, not even retreating a single step. Both people had a flash of doubt in their eyes. Why, if the blade can't be broken, then cut the person, because a person can't be as hard as a blade. My blade is not cut. I directly slashed towards Bolt's neck. Bolt also wanted to use the remaining force to strike me down. But when he saw the cold gleam on my blade, he suddenly retracted his hand. His entire body leaned backward. Although I didn't injure the opponent with this strike, I had already gained the upper hand in terms of momentum. The originally evenly matched situation also began to subtly change. However, this change was fleeting. As Bolt regrouped, his momentum returned. I licked my lips. This is a powerful enemy, completely different from ordinary barbarians. If I kill him, I'll definitely be able to get a lot of attribute points. The killing intent in Bolt's eyes also surged. He hadn't encountered a master from the Empire in a long time. If I can kill the man opposite, I can definitely inflict losses on the Empire's people. What happened just now was merely a test between the two sides. Next would be the real killing moves. Kill bow. But this wasn't his greatest reliance. His killing move was a continuous strike. If the first strike missed, he could again, relying on his powerful body, deliver another slash. He called this move returning horse blade. Who knows how many Empire people were killed by him. He was very confident in this move of his, and my greatest reliance wasn't my strength, but my system, since my current strength could only be evenly matched with the opponent. Then I'll just add points. A thought flashed in my mind. Immediately, powerful warm current surged through my entire body. Points added successfully. Su Cheng's physical quality 4. 9. Remaining attribute points 0. 2. I only left 0.2 attribute points, and then put all the remaining attribute points into Constitution. The next moment, I felt my body seem to swell up. That power was truly too immense. It completed the transformation of my body in an instant. Then my body returned to normal. Everything was as if nothing had happened. But I knew that my current self was completely different from a moment ago. A moment ago, I was only stronger than ordinary people by 2 times. Now, I was 5 times stronger than ordinary people. Moreover, this enhancement wasn't a simple multiple relationship. My current overall strength has risen and grown. My instantaneous change didn't attract Bolt's attention. His mind was currently filled with his own killing move. And others also didn't notice me. Everyone was busy killing, only paying attention to the general situation on the battlefield with their peripheral vision. Only one person frowned the moment I changed. He was Beast Horse Gan, standing on the hilltop. Impossible. Did I see wrong? As Beast Horse Gan muttered to himself. Bolt had already urged his warhorse to charge at me. I grinned and, with a speed faster than before, met him. Bolt's pupils contracted. How was the opponent's speed faster than just now by so much? It can almost rival him on a warhorse, but now, Bolt no longer had time to think. Once the arrow is shot, there's no turning back. What he had to do now was unleash his perfect strike. A cold smile appeared at Bolt's lips. Even if you're strong, you can't dodge my ultimate move. Did I dodge? I directly charged towards Bolt. My speed had reached its peak. I felt all the blood in my body boiling. It was excitement from battle, and even more so from my own strength, changing and standing firm. Is this the power of strength? Let me enjoy it properly, I roared, raised the greatsword in my hand, and slashed towards Bolt. Bolt showed no fear. He also raised his blade and charged at me. Bolt had already decided that when the two blades collided, it would be when he used his ultimate move. He had already envisioned that beautiful scene. The scimitar, after a spin, would fiercely pierce my back. At that moment would be the moment of victory. But was the reality truly as Bolt expected? When the two blades collided, One side suddenly bulged, and Bolt felt a huge force from his hand. The next moment, he watched helplessly as the greatsword in his hand was chopped in half, and his arm was also by the huge recoil force. His meridians burst, instantly blooming a spray of blood. Bolt looked at everything before him, his mind unable to process it. How is this possible? But it was too late. His world was left with only my ferocious smile. This thought had just appeared in Bolt's mind when it was forever frozen. After shattering Bolt's blade, my greatsword's momentum did not diminish. It directly slashed towards Bolt's head. A body of flesh and blood is not as hard as a greatsword. Bolt's head was neatly lopped off. The warhorse carried his body away, while his head rolled onto the grass. I listened to the system's notification sound, satisfied, and licked my lips. Reward, attribute points 1.0, as expected of a barbarian squad leader. The reward points given are indeed many. Afterward, I didn't even glance at Bolt's corpse on the ground. I turned and charged towards the barbarian ranks. I now had endless strength in my body. That was all the supply reward given by the system. I wanted to take advantage of this surge of energy before it dissipated to kill more barbarians. The distant barbarians, hearing the commotion, began to panic. Their squad leader had died with his eyes open. No one was in the mood to care about the grain and fodder anymore. They scattered and fled in all directions. I was anxious then. I just killed one. Why are you all running away? It's infuriating. I pushed off with my feet, and my whole body shot out. I raised the greatsword in my hand and, after landing, accurately chopped it onto the back of a barbarian. That bar, I laughed happily. Immediately, I chased after another target, but now, all the barbarians had already mounted their horses and scattered, fleeing. Just as I was cursing, I suddenly noticed a figure hiding next to the grain and fodder cart. Without thinking, I leaped over. I raised my blade and slashed towards that person's back. That person seemed to have heard the commotion behind him. In a panic, he actually stumbled and fell. Then he turned his head in terror, revealing an old, wrinkled face. I didn't let him go just because he was an old man. Instead, I gathered all my strength to give him a swift end. The old barbarian was so scared that the wrinkles on his face smoothed out. He painfully closed his eyes, waiting for death. Just at this critical moment, Beast Horse Gan's voice suddenly came from afar. Leave him, life. We still need to bring him back to report. I abruptly stopped my blade, but the fierce blade still chopped onto the old barbarian's head. Only then did I hear a tragic cry from him before he collapsed. I didn't go to check the old barbarian's condition, because I didn't hear the system's notification sound. So I concluded the old barbarian wasn't dead. Big Silly Brother and the others had finished dealing with the remaining barbarians. Everyone gathered around me. Young Master Xianxia said with a grin, I really didn't expect it. Little Sue, your really too fierce Big Silly Brother was picking bits of flesh off his mace. Little Guy was busy licking his hands. Flower Butterfly didn't speak, but his gaze towards me softened considerably. Only I looked at the unconscious, old barbarian on the ground, full of unwillingness. He's just an old man. What could he possibly know? Why don't I just kill him? Beast Horse Gan walked over and said, No, you can't. He's the barbarian's shaman. It's perfect. We'll take him back to report shaman. What's that? Is he for sacrifices? Young Master Xianxia shook his head with a smile and said, Shaman, haven't you heard of dismounting from your horse? All right. Enough small talk. I still shook my head. At this moment, Beast Horse Gan spoke again. Bring him and gather with the main force. Big Silly Brother stepped forward, tied the barbarian shaman securely, and hoisted him onto his shoulder. Little Guy sat on the shaman's body. Everyone ignored everything here and walked in the direction they came from. Although I had some doubts in my heart, I didn't ask anything. Before long, we saw Baldy's team. Baldy saw us return and immediately rode his horse to meet us. Beast Horse Gan didn't speak. He just cupped his hands towards Baldy. Bell. Big Silly Brother put the sleeping little guy onto his other shoulder, and then handed the old shaman over to two soldiers. Afterward, Baldy continued to lead the way. Beast Horse Gan led everyone behind him. Two soldiers walked, guiding the barbarian shaman. The group slowly headed towards Tiger Mike Camp. When they left, it was early morning, but when they returned, the setting sun's afterglow was already cast upon the grassland. It was a dazzling golden expanse. I squinted my eyes. Not far in front of me, Baldy's. Young Master Xianxia's voice came to my ear. How did your strength get so great? Kid, have you practiced some external martial arts? Or are you like Big Guy? Naturally, strong. Look at you, so skinny, yet I didn't expect you to be all muscle and power. It's truly surprising. Young Master Xianxia was like having an episode. He kept chattering in my ear the whole way. At first, I would smile and give a couple of replies. Later, I simply pretended not to hear him. There was nothing I could do. This guy had too many questions. You'd answer one, and he'd immediately ask two more. Moreover, these questions were endless, annoying me endlessly. Finally, when I couldn't stand it anymore, I turned my head and asked Flower Butterfly, "Is he always so talkative?" "He talks a lot when his kidney deficiency is a bit better." Flower Butterfly shook his head and said. I was stunned, not knowing what Flower Butterfly meant. What does being talkative have to do with kidney deficiency? I turned my head again and asked Beast Horse Gan, "Is there a saying in pharmacology that being talkative is related to kidney deficiency? You have to see who he's talking to." His Beast Horse Gan shook his head with a smile. I was stunned again. I pondered the whole way. How did it come back to me? What did his talkativeness and kidney deficiency have to do with me? Finally, when I saw Tiger Mike Camp, I understood. I suddenly leaped up and exclaimed, "Damn you! If you dare to come closer, I'll kill you." I quickly fled from young Master Sheng Zu's side. Young Master Sheng Zu wasn't angry at all. He still smiled playfully. Now I finally understood why young Master Sheng Zu was so attentive to me. It turned out he had his eye on me. This person, when he looked at me, seemed reasonable yet annoying. Maybe he really had such a hobby, while I was vigilantly guarding against young Master Sheng Zu. The main force finally entered Tiger Mike Camp's grounds. The camp still looked as it did when we left in the morning, except that several of the tree stumps used to tie up northern barbarians were now empty. I turned my head to look, only to see Tiger Mike Camp's gate beam was dripping blood. I curled my lips. The people here seemed to be abnormal from top to bottom baldy. The whole way. Didn't do anything. Could it be that they were responsible for watching Beast Horse Gan and the others? I thought this was completely unnecessary. Baldy sent everyone to the tent from that morning. Seeing everyone go inside, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. He ordered the people behind him to disperse. The soldiers of Tiger Mike Camp, hearing the order, scattered with a whoosh. Beast Horse Gan led everyone into the tent. Everyone, in turn, placed their weapons on the racks. Young Master Sheng Zu's reluctant expression when putting down his iron rod disgusted me. I secretly thought to myself. Just as I was lost in thought, Goat Fox slowly walked in from outside. Everyone in the tent looked at Goat Fox, and he plopped down onto a chair. Goat Fox let out a breath and slowly asked, "How was it? You caught a shaman priest and brought him back." "All right, consider you all finished." Then Goat Fox took out the small booklet I had seen that morning from under the table. Goat Fox didn't know what was written on it. "Even shamans have appeared. I'm afraid there are still bigger figures behind them. Give me a portion of that powder of yours that makes people tell the truth when they smell it." Beast Horse Gan turned around, took out a white bottle from a box, and placed it on the table. Goat Fox nodded. He finally raised his head and glanced at the people in the tent. When he saw me, a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. Beast Horse Gan smiled and didn't speak. Goat Fox looked at young Master Sheng Zu. "Is it you? Have you been protecting him all this time?" Young Master Sheng Zu didn't speak. My eyebrows twitched fiercely twice. Goat Fox is treating me as a male favorite just as I was about to say something. Beast Horse Gan spoke first. "He's not bad. Next time, we'll take him with us again." "Oh, interesting." Goat Fox straightened his body and looked at me again. This time, his eyes held 3 parts scrutiny and 7 parts curiosity. "Since that's the case, what do you want?" I pointed at myself and said, "Are you talking to me?" Goat Fox nodded and said, "What do you want?" I subconsciously replied, "I don't want anything impossible. Everyone here has something they want. Some want innocence, some want freedom, some want stability, and some people want people's lives. What do you want?" I understood that Goat Fox was serious. After a moment of silence, I said, "I want to kill people. Apart from that, I have no other desires." Goat Fox looked at me for a long time, then suddenly smiled. "I thought you wanted Princess King Feng." My expression darkened. It seemed this old man knew all my secrets. Then Goat Fox took out the booklet from under the table. He then opened one of the pages and looked up to ask, "What name do you want to write?" I, without thinking, said, "Zio Zio Su, the Su from Sukyui." Goat Fox picked up a pen and wrote the 3 characters Zio Zio Su on the paper. Then he said, "From now on, you need to accumulate 1,000 merit points. Once you've accumulated enough merit points, you'll gain freedom." I subconsciously asked, What does this have to do with you asking me what I wanted just now? Goat Fox chuckled and said, no relation. Well, just curious. I was speechless. I thought what happened just now was so important. It turned out to be Goat Fox's prank. At this moment, Goat Fox had already put away the booklet. Beast Horse Gan cupped his hands towards him, then walked out of the tent. Everyone else followed. I gave Goat Fox a deep look, then walked out of the tent. Outside the tent, it was already completely dark. Soldiers led everyone back to the prison cell. After everyone was locked in, the prison door was shut. Everyone returned to their respective spots. Beast Horse Gan also sat down beside me. I, chewing on a blade of grass, said, what's the background of that goatee fellow? I feel like I could choke him with one hand. Beast Horse Gan chuckled and said, he's just an ordinary old man. Ordinary? Just like me hearing Beast Horse Gan say this, I became even more interested in Goat Fox, because I knew Beast Horse Gan himself wasn't an ordinary old man. So Goat Fox probably had a story too. But I didn't ask about Goat Fox anymore. My questions were still many. I thought for a moment and said, so, when you go out to do things, it's to accumulate merit points. That's right. What's the use of these things? They can help you achieve your wishes, but I don't have any wishes. Beast Horse Gan chuckled and said, you will, sooner or later then. What's that small booklet, then? Just an account book. What's Baldy doing? You can consider him as helping us out, really. Or fake. Last question, you say. Does young Master Xianxia have homosexual tendencies? That's right. And he's got his eye on you now, really. Or fake. You guess. At this moment, the prison door opened. Soldiers came to deliver food. Tonight's meal was steamed buns and wine. Beast Horse Gan stood up and walked towards the large basket. I also stood up, cursing under my breath. This time, it was still Big Silly Brother first, Flower Butterfly second, and young Master Xianxia third. I was right behind him. He's got his eye on you. Little guy still had his eye on the food. Young Master Xianxia turned his head with a grin and said, why don't you come in front of me? He's got his eye on you. I didn't appreciate it at all and directly refused, saying, I'll be fine at the back. Young Master Xianxia's expression became lewd. So, you like it from behind? I was so shocked my hair stood on end. I never dreamed I'd be flirted with in a death row prison. I gritted my teeth and said, say that again. Young Master Xianxia gave a dark smile. If you don't like it, in front is fine too. The veins on my forehead bulged. I was about to explode on the spot. Just then, Beast Horse Gan's voice came. Stop dawdling. Even if you're not hungry. He is. The little one is growing. How can he not eat on time? Little guy let out a whimper behind me. He seemed to be displeased with both young Master Xianxia and me. I let out a long breath, suppressing the anger in my heart. I stood behind little guy. Young Master Xianxia gave a dark chuckle, like a child whose prank had succeeded. Then he took a steamed bun and returned to the corner. Little guy eagerly ran forward, took out the steamed buns for Beast Horse Gan and me from the large basket, then plunged his head into the large basket. I returned to the corner with a depressed look, holding my steamed bun, and sat down. Beast Horse Gan, carrying his wine pot, sat beside me. Don't be angry. He has the wicked intention, but not the guts. Actually, he's trying to show you goodwill. I took a fierce bite of my steamed bun and said, this is like a toad squatting on your instep. It doesn't bite, but it's annoying. If you feel your anger can't be vented later, deal with him. Deal with him how? Am I supposed to beat him up? What he cares about most is that iron rod. For the rest, you figure it out yourself. I chewed on my steamed bun, pondering hard. I wondered how I could make something out of that iron rod. But even after I finished my steamed bun, I couldn't come up with a good idea. I was seething with anger and just wanted to find something to vent on. So I reached out and snatched the wine pot from Beast Horse Gan's hand. Gulp it. Gulp it. I drank several mouthfuls. Beast Horse Gan immediately got anxious. He quickly snatched the wine pot back. You? What are you venting your anger on my wine for? Kid, if you do that again, I might just put poison in it. I wiped my mouth and felt the anger in my heart subside a little. As for Beast Horse Gan's words, I didn't take them to heart at all. Fun is fun. Mischief is mischief. After eating and drinking my fill, the prison cell fell into silence. I also leaned against the corner and fell into a deep sleep. Perhaps it was the alcohol, or perhaps I was tired. I slept very soundly. It was just that in the middle of the night, I was suddenly woken up. At that time, I thought young Master Sheng Zhu had gone wild and wanted to ambush me. But I didn't expect it to be the prison door opening. A soldier, carrying a lantern, opened the prison door. But he just stood outside the door and didn't come in. I was puzzled, wondering what was going on now. At this moment, I heard Beast Horse Gan beside me speak. Everyone, get up and work following. That, everyone lined up and exited the prison cell. Outside, the bright moon hung in the sky. The entire camp seemed to be sprinkled with a layer of white sand. The grassland at nights, temperature was a bit low. It was really cold, but my current body didn't care about any of this. Now, the entire camp was silent. Clearly, the soldiers had already rested, but a few of us were called up. I was a bit puzzled, not knowing what we were supposed to do in the middle of the night. Soon, we were led to the daytime tent. Everyone silently picked up their weapons. I also picked up my greatsword. Just then, Goat Fox walked in from outside the tent. This time, he didn't sit by the table. Instead, he handed a roll of parchment to Beast Horse Gan. Beast Horse Gan, unfolding the parchment, I leaned in and saw a map drawn on it. The priest said they had stockpiled a batch of grain in the north, and tonight you all are to go burn down their grain and fodder camp. Xianxia wasted no words and immediately explained tonight's mission. Xianxia nodded briskly and walked straight out. Several people exited the tent. Afterwards, they found Baldy Lao already waiting outside with the soldiers. The two sides' gazes met without any verbal exchange, and the main force headed out of Tiger Might Camp. Walked. I was a bit puzzled why the way of receiving missions tonight was different from during the day. Young Master Sheng Zhu leaned close to me and said, "You have something you want to ask?" I didn't even look at him, turning my face away to say, "No." Scram Young Master Sheng Zhu wasn't angry and began to explain to me that tonight's mission wasn't considered a normal one and wouldn't be recorded in the ledger. Tonight, you can act freely. No one will know about this matter. I rolled my eyes at him and said, "You're just talking nonsense with your eyes open. Doesn't the bald guy in front know? What about the ones behind? About the soldiers, Young Master Sheng Zhu?" Zhu Gongzi chuckled and said, "Anyway, no one will know." I felt like Young Master Sheng Zhu's explanation was unconvincing. After listening, I still didn't know anything, but I was still quite looking forward to tonight's mission. After all, Young Master Sheng Zhu said we could act freely tonight. While the team was on the road, I took a moment to check my system. My current physique already exceeded that of ordinary people by 5 times. Killing the barbarian tribesmen took no effort at all. Even that small-handed person from earlier today was killed by my single strike. So now my strength was my greatest asset. Of course, I also had to thank the knife in my hand for being able to withstand my strength. If the weapon was not strong enough, I would lose half my combat power. I just didn't know how the system would develop in the future. Would new options appear later? Options? But currently, I only had one physique option, so I added all my attribute points to it. However, for now, I was quite satisfied. I only needed to kill more barbarian tribesmen to become stronger. As for other matters, I'd worry about them later. The main force kept advancing, and I didn't know how much time had passed when suddenly, dark clouds appeared in the sky. Dark clouds appeared. The surrounding. At this moment, Baldy Lao stopped. Then Baldy Lao dismounted, still without a word, only cupping his hands to Xianxia. Xianxia also cupped his hands, then led everyone to continue forward. Baldy Lao and the soldiers soon disappeared into the darkness behind me. It was then that I dared to speak loudly. "Where are we?" "Going to find the barbarian tribesmen's grain and fodder camp. It's pitch black all around. I can't see anything." Xianxia Gan pointed at the small guy and said, "Just follow him." I looked down at the small guy leading the way and said in surprise, "This kid at the beginning tried, or did he turn on full route cheat?" Young Master Sheng Zhu leaned close to me again and said, "This kid is amazing. His perception is stronger than a wolf's on the prairie. Any movement within a radius of several li." He knows. I nodded and said nothing more. The group silently hurried on. After walking several more li, the small guy suddenly stopped, pointing ahead, and let out a low growl. Xianxia immediately told everyone, "Prepare for action." I seriously asked, What the plan of action, Xianxia very seriously said. Improvise. I was speechless. You were going to attack the barbarian tribesmen's grain and fodder camp. Xianxia's plan was too childish, but the others didn't have any objections. Everyone had already prepared their weapons. It seemed this wasn't their first time doing something like this. At this moment, young Master Xianxia came closer. Zio, Su, this time, let's the two of us start the fire. I promise to protect you well. I originally wanted to refuse, but seeing the small guy had already climbed onto Big Brother Stupid's shoulder, I changed my mind. The combination of Big Brother Stupid and the small guy was truly invincible. They were practically human life-reaping machines. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't compare to the two of them, so cooperating with young Master Xianxia wasn't impossible. All right then, I have a condition. When the time comes, I'll kill people, and you set fires. You beat them half to death, and then I'll give them the final blow. Young Master Xianxia saw that I agreed, immediately nodded, and said, that's how we'll do it. Tonight, I won't kill a single person. I'll leave them all for you. I nodded in satisfaction and said, I thought of a name for our team. How about murder and arson still? Before young Master Xianxia could agree, the nearby Hua suddenly laughed. How about husband sings? Wife follows. Young Master Xianxia clapped his hands and cheered after hearing it. That's good. I was about to flare up then. If Xianxia hadn't spoken at that moment, I would have had a good talk with Hua. Stop arguing. We're here. I could only raise my hand and look up. A military camp appeared in the distant darkness. It quietly opened its gaping maw like a monstrous beast, welcoming all uninvited guests. I grinned, immediately activated the system, and started adding points. The system prompted. Attribute points added successfully. A familiar feeling instantly spread throughout my body. Just as I was about to charge forward, the small guy on Big Brother Stupid's shoulder let out another low growl. Xianxia's expression instantly turned serious. There's a master inside, I said in surprise. He said that too. Xianxia nodded his head and said, the plan has changed. Cancel free action. Everyone's expressions turned serious. Xianxia began to assign tasks to everyone. You two are responsible for breaking through. You must throw the grain and fodder camp into chaos. Xianxia pointed at Big Brother Stupid and the small guy. Big Brother Stupid nodded, and the small guy excitedly cheered again. Clearly, he liked this arrangement. Xianxia pointed at Hua and said, you go be responsible for arson, and stop anyone who tries to put out the fire. Hua waved his hand, which counted as an agreement. Finally, only I and young Master Xianxia were left. Xianxia pointed at us two and said, you two come with me to deal with that master. What I immediately had something to say. Let me go set fires. I guarantee I'll burn all the grain and fodder, and kill everyone. Young Master Xianxia teasingly said, are you scared? Don't be scared. I'll protect you. I glared at him. This young Master Xianxia was truly annoying. He was always messing around everywhere. Stop arguing. Xianxia shook his head and said, no, you're not as agile as him. I still wanted to retort, but Xianxia waved his hand and said, all right. With Xianxia's command, Big Brother Stupid, carrying the small guy, charged towards the grain and fodder camp. Hua also flashed and disappeared into the darkness. I could only watch them leave with longing eyes. Then, unwillingly, I picked up the box and followed Xianxia forward. Young Master Xianxia saw through my thoughts and said with a grin, don't worry. There are plenty of barbarian tribesmen in the camp. You'll get to kill your fill in a bit. I sighed. I hope it's really as young Master Xianxia said, although I envied others' missions. Now I had to prioritize the bigger picture. Since Xianxia said there was a master inside, everything had to be done carefully. I couldn't act impulsively in him. The three of us advanced towards the barbarian tribesmen's grain and fodder camp. Xianxia walked very slowly. By the time they reached halfway, the camp was already ablaze with towering flames. I licked my lips, an envious expression appearing in my eyes. It seemed Hua had already succeeded. Big Brother Stupid and the small guy must be having a blast killing now. Right. However, the barbarian tribesmen's actions were also swift. Horn sounds echoed throughout the camp. The barbarian tribesmen moved very quickly and immediately engaged in expelling the enemies. Inside the barbarian tribesmen's central military camp, a muscular barbarian tribesman was listening to a subordinate say, Commander, unknown enemies have broken into the camp inside the central tent. The barbarian tribesman named Ujita, who was the commander in charge here, exclaimed, they have some guts. daring to burn my grain and fodder. Exterminate them all, the subordinate finished speaking and exited the central tent. Ujira, his face grim, grabbed a crescent blade and stormed out. In the great camp, flames shot to the sky, and barbarian tribesmen's shouts were everywhere. Some were busy saving, some were busy chasing people, but the enemy's speed was too fast. They could only run around exhausted, but they couldn't even touch a single hair on the enemy. Ujira's face was bulging with veins. He had already sworn a military oath before Kehen that he would definitely protect the safety of the grain and fodder. But now everything was about to be destroyed. Destroyed? Ujira looked around, searching for traces of the enemy, but it was too chaotic all around. He couldn't see any enemies at all. At this moment, the small guy quickly charged left and right through the camp, whenever the barbarian tribesmen finally managed to gather some strength. The small guy would rush in and cause chaos, and the barbarian tribesmen's formation would instantly collapse. Before the barbarian tribesmen could reassemble their forces, a mountain-like figure emerged from the flames. He raised the spiked club in his hand and brutally attacked those in front. The barbarian tribesmen instantly suffered countless casualties. Countless. The remaining barbarian tribesmen were scared out of their wits. They desperately fled from these two monster-like figures. But just as they fled to a safe place, a figure like a night wraith cleverly appeared. The whip in his hand flashed with red light, turning one barbarian tribesman after another into a puddle of filth on the ground. Although the barbarian tribesmen's forces were not small in number, facing these three people, they truly had no way to resist. They could only watch helplessly as their own hard-earned grain was burned to charcoal. At this moment, the small guy, killing joyfully, burst in front of Ujira. He bared his teeth at Ujira, then turned and ran towards the main camp gate. Ujira immediately roared, wielding his crescent blade as he chased after him. "Little demon, take this blade." But how could the small guy be willing to stop? He turned his head and made a face at Ujira, then quickly scrambled on a Big Brother Stupid's shoulder. Big Brother Stupid also didn't stop. They consistently followed Xianxia's action principle. Directly cause chaos. Do not engage in prolonged combat. So when they saw Ujira, they didn't engage in prolonged combat and quickly disappeared into the towering flames. Ujira finally caught up. But at the main camp gate, he couldn't see Big Brother Stupid or the small guy's figures at all. He was so angry he let out a long laugh to the sky. At this, a cold gust of wind interrupted Ujira's roar. Young Master Xianxia finally arrived at the main camp gate. Xianxia Magan stood not far behind us, showing no intention of stepping forward to fight. And now, I had finally seen a barbarian tribesman. So of course, I wouldn't let him go. Ujira's howl was interrupted, and he was extremely displeased. He raised his crescent blade and pointed at me, saying, "Who are you?" I rested my great saber on my shoulder, spat, and said coldly, "Your daddy." Ujira's face turned black with wrath. He raised the great saber in his hand and charged forward. "Little thief, take your death." My lips curved into an excited smile as I said, "Come." Good. After speaking, I charged straight at Ujira. My speed was very imposing in the dark, and Ujira's speed was not slow either. Although he was burly, his movements were surprisingly explosive. A loud bang rang out in front of the grain and fodder camp. My great saber and Ujira's crescent blade violently clashed. For a moment, I felt a powerful force in my hand. Strength. My pupils suddenly contracted, and I inwardly exclaimed, "What powerful strength!" Ujira's tiger's mouth also stung from the impact. He was a bit surprised in his heart how strong his opponent was. Both of us retreated once before we could release the force from our hands. Looking at each other, our gazes turning solemn, I was very surprised. My current body already had 5 times the strength of an ordinary person. Killing ordinary barbarian tribesmen was like cutting vegetables. But this barbarian tribesman in front of me could actually withstand one of my strikes. The most surprising thing was that in the past, I could cut through a barbarian tribesman's scimitar with one swing. But the opponent's weapon didn't break. He really had some skill, as expected of the master Xianxia spoke of. I instantly became excited. How many attribute points must this damn guy be worth? Ujira's gaze at me was also filled with shock. His opponent looked ordinary in build, but unexpectedly had such great strength. One must know that Ujira was very confident in his own strength. But now, what he was proud of was being challenged by this imperial person in front of him. Ujira's fighting spirit grew even stronger. Such an enemy made him even more excited. He wanted to take my head back as a trophy. Golden light simultaneously erupted in both my eyes and Yujita's. Yujita stomped his foot, and with an explosive sound, he charged forward. Well met. This time, I used all my strength. I was determined to chop this barbarian tribesman in half. But just as the two of us were about to collide, a voice suddenly shot out from beside me. That voice imitated mine, deliberately lowering its tone to make its timbre rougher. Finally, it let out a strange sound resembling a duck's quack. Take my slap. Young Master Xianxia rushed forward first, charging at Yujita. The iron rod in his hand fiercely smashed down towards Yujita's head. Yujita was originally focused on dealing with me, who knew a pale-faced kid would suddenly charge out from beside me. He could only urgently turn his crescent blade to block the kid's smashing. Iron rod. The iron rod and the crescent blade clashed. Not a single sound was made. Not even a spark flew out. Only a strange cry from young Master Xianxia, who, holding the iron rod, suddenly pushed back. He fiercely rubbed his hands. His face flushed red as he cursed. Damn it! What great strength! I rolled my eyes and said coldly, Can you stop causing trouble? Xianxia, just recuperate well. What a disgrace you're making here. Young Master Xianxia's face flushed even redder. He clearly saw that I could withstand the barbarian tribesman's attack, and only retreated a few steps. How come when it was his turn, his hand was almost shattered? His iron rod was still trembling, right, still. Before young Master Xianxia could retort, I charged forward again. Yujita was originally startled by my strength. When he saw young Master Xianxia, his heart sank. If both enemies had such great strength, they would be truly difficult to deal with. But what made Yujita surprised was that young Master Xianxia hadn't caused him any harm at all. His heart settled a bit. He no longer spared a glance for young Master Xianxia and focused on dealing with the one who charged up. Young Master Xianxia was successively scorned by me and Yujita. He was so angry he was about to flare up on the spot. But when he saw the two of us clash and start fighting, he silently retreated to Xianxia's side. Xianxia chuckled and said, Don't worry, competing in strength isn't your strong suit. Young Master Xianxia had a gloomy expression. But these two people are too abnormal. Xianxia chuckled. I'm also very surprised. This kid's progress speed is really a bit fast. Young Master Xianxia mumbled and didn't speak, but looked towards the battlefield. Just as young Master Xianxia and Xianxia were talking, I had already exchanged several blows with Yujita, but besides generating a shower of sparks, there was no effect. Yujita seemed to get more excited the more he fought. The smile on his face grew heavier. Finally, after another fierce clash with me, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. What a blast! It's been a long time since I felt this good. I, on the other hand, was a bit unhappy. My strength and this barbarian tribesman's were evenly matched. Neither of us could do anything to the other. This won't do. If we delay any longer, everyone in the camp will be killed by the other three. Then my experience package will turn into nothing. My heart stirred. I looked at the remaining attribute points. If I can't beat him, then add points. I'm a cheater. Who am I afraid of? But before I could make a move, Yujita opposite me pulled out a small bottle from his embrace. If it were peacetime and I met you, I would definitely have a good spar with you. But now is not the time. After Yujita finished speaking, he opened the small bottle, tilted his head back, and swallowed its contents. Then he mumbled something. Immediately after, his body underwent a change. Yujita's muscles suddenly swelled a full circle, then quickly shrank back. His already dark skin became even darker. His gaze became sharper, and veins bulged on his forehead. His broad, coarse face instantly turned ferocious. I felt a bit puzzled. What's going on? How does this look so sinister at this moment? Xianxia's voice came from behind me. Be careful. He ate the priest's divine medicine. His strength has grown even greater. I couldn't help but curse. Damn. I thought my cheating and adding points was already abnormal enough. Who knew someone would be more shameless than me? Can't win. Though he dares to take drugs, a devout expression appeared on Yujita's face. Then his entire being fell into extreme madness. Oh, great God, thank you for the power you bestowed. In return, I will offer the enemy's blood to you. The crescent blade in his hand was wielded with mighty force. Now, Yujita seemed to have endless strength. Young Master Xianxia in the distance showed a solemn expression. He had already experienced Yujita's strength just now. Experienced? Although he wasn't injured, he knew he was no match for Yujita at all. Now Yujita had eaten the priest's divine medicine, and his strength had become even greater. So, can I withstand it? Xianxia seemed to have seen young Master Xianxia's worry. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, just wait and see. This kid seems to get stronger the more he fights." Young Master Xianxia nodded and looked uneasily at the field. Now, besides worrying, he could do nothing else. Yujita had already completed his mysterious ritual. Now, in his eyes, there was only me. This was the offering he promised to the gods. He absolutely had to kill me. Yujita let out a loud cry, and his entire being charged towards me like a wild bull. And I wasn't idle either. I unhesitatingly added all my attribute points to physique. Just now Xianxia had already warned me, so now I dared not hold back. System prompted. Attribute points added successfully. Remaining attribute points. 0. A tremendous power instantly surged out, filling my limbs and meridians like a surging tide. I couldn't help but let out a comfortable cry. This feeling was truly too addictive. Addictive. Come, fight, I roared and pounced towards Yujita. Both sides were at the peak of their strength. This strike was destined to be extraordinary. One loud bang later. Young Master Xianxia nervously looked at the field. He saw that after the two of us clashed, I still stood firm, while Yujita in front of me had a blank expression. Because just now, my single strike had directly sent his crescent blade flying. Yujita's tiger's mouth had been split open by the impact. Holding the blade, his fingers were twisted outwards in a grotesque shape. In his current state, he probably wouldn't be able to wield a blade again in his lifetime. Of course, he might not even get the chance, but Yujita didn't care about any of this. He just stared blankly at my blade, seemingly pondering something he couldn't understand. Why this was Yujita's last sentence? Because the next moment, I had already swung the blade in my hand towards Yujita. Go ask your god, cold. Light flashed. Yujita finally didn't have to think about that question anymore. His thoughts plunged into darkness. I didn't even look at Yujita's corpse and walked straight forward. I bent down and picked up Yujita's crescent blade. I carefully examined the crescent blade, an appreciative look appearing in my eyes. This is truly a good blade. Under my full-strength strike, it didn't suffer the slightest damage. I contentedly put the crescent blade on my back. And there was still something that made me even happier. The system's notification sound rang in my mind. System prompt, kills, 1. Reward, 1 attribute point, 1. I was overjoyed. This barbarian tribesman is really worth attribute points. Even more than the last barbarian tribesman gave thinking of this. I suddenly remembered something. I looked at the barbarian tribesman's great camp in front of me. My expression instantly changed. My experience package. The next moment, I darted out, running and shouting, "Don't kill them all." At this moment, on the hilltop in front of the great camp, young Master Xianxia was so shocked his mouth hung open. After a moment's thought, he finally uttered 2 words. "You have?" Xianxia chuckled and said, "How about that?" I wasn't wrong. Was I? Young Master Xianxia gripped the iron rod in his hand tightly. He truly couldn't describe his current feelings. Besides shock, more than that, he was speechless. The barbarian commander, who was so strong, was killed by 2 of his strikes. Don't just stand there. Go down and help young Master Xianxia. However, pouted and said, "I'm not going. What's left for me there? Left? Those few guys will finish everything then tonight. When you get your steamed buns, you'll have to be last in line, doesn't matter." Being able to see this scene was worth it. Young Master Xianxia and Beast Horse Gan stood on the hilltop outside the main camp, looking at the world before them, which was already a sea of flames. One was expressionless, the other chuckled straight, chuckling, not knowing what they were thinking. This world had indeed turned into a sea of flames. The barbarian tribe's grain and fodder camp was completely gone, and the soaring flames lit up the entire night sky. At this moment, I was still frantically searching in the main camp. As far as my eyes could see, there was nothing but flames and corpses. Many barbarian soldiers had already fled, and those who were scared witless were also all killed by the 3 people. I Wandered around for a long time but found nothing. When I reluctantly returned outside the main camp and found that everyone was waiting for me. Little Guy had now become a blood-soaked person. Big Brother Foolish was fine, but his spiked club had turned into a meat skewer, with enough shredded meat on it to keep him busy for half a day. Flower Butterfly was still the same, but the clothes on his body were a bit blackened, probably from the smoke when setting the fire just now. Young Master Shenzhou enthusiastically walked forward. Why did you just now come out? Everyone's waiting for you. I helplessly looked at this group of ruffians. Let's go, I said. The group walked in the direction they came from. Beast Horse Gan's expression was very relaxed, clearly very satisfied with tonight's outcome. Big Brother Foolish, however, was quite troubled. The shredded meat on his spiked club was already a mess, and he couldn't seem to clean it all off. Little Guy was busy biting his nails. If he didn't bite them soon, all the blood would coagulate. Flower Butterfly walked behind me, watching young Master Shenzhou trying to curry favor with me. Let me carry a sword for you, he said. It must be tiring for you to carry two by yourself. Right. How are you so strong? You killed that barbarian with just 2 strikes. Your strength is too great. I really didn't see it before I was in a bad mood. Listening to young Master Shenzhou's words, I felt even more annoyed. So annoying. So I said with a cold face, Shut up. You. Were your ancestors always so long-winded? Young Master Shenzhou was stunned. What does that mean? Flower Butterfly burst out laughing. He said, You shut up. Too much shut up. No, I didn't shut up. I didn't shut up. You're talking about shut words, right? Your way of speaking is quite interesting. I've decided to shut up. This person's skin is not just thick. No matter what I say, I can't break through his thick skin. I might as well save my breath. A group of people continued on their way. Finally, as dawn approached, I saw Baldy in the distance. Baldy. When Baldy saw everyone return, he visibly breathed a sigh of relief. He cupped his hands towards Beast Horse Gan, then flipped onto his horse, towards the large troop behind him. He waved his hand. The soldiers who had waited all night could finally return. Everyone's expressions were relaxed, and the speed of their journey increased significantly. As the sun fully emerged from the earth, we saw Tiger Mite Camp in the distance. At this time, Tiger Mite Camp had already regained its vitality, and from afar, one could hear the sounds of soldiers drilling. I don't know why, but when I heard these sounds, my heart suddenly became peaceful. The toil of this night was finally over. This time Baldy didn't send everyone to the tent where Goatbeard stayed, but after collecting their weapons, he directly sent them to the big prison. Everyone returned to their own places to rest. I also plopped down onto the hay. Young Master Sheng Zhu was probably tired and finally stopped bothering. But Beast Horse Gan started talking again. You kid always managed to surprise me, I said with a smile. It was all luck. Forget it. This old man still has some discernment. Whether it's true strength or luck, I can still see it. Out I have a bit of a guilty conscience. This old man is incredibly shrewd. What exactly has he figured out? Did you practice some cultivation technique? Every time you go out, your strength increases by a few points. This cultivation technique is definitely not simple. I decided to say nothing and let Beast Horse Gan guess for himself. If he could guess that I have a system, that would be truly strange. Beast Horse Gan saw that I didn't answer, so he didn't ask any more questions. Everyone here has secrets, and he himself was no exception. Some things others don't want to say. So, don't force it. Just as everyone quieted down and was about to fall asleep, the prison door opened, and a soldier pushed in a small cart. I immediately smelled a fragrance, and my stomach uncooperatively rumbled. The cart was fully loaded with various meat dishes. Under the cart, there was also clear water, and of course, 2 large barrels of wine. After the soldier pushed the cart in, he left. Everyone looked at Beast Horse Gan. Beast Horse Gan chuckled and said, What are you staring for? Eat, Little Guy and Big Brother Foolish let out a yell and rushed forward. Young Master Shenzhou was not to be outdone. He seemed truly hungry. He actually didn't bother with his usual refined manner and just grabbed meat. Flower Butterfly also walked out from the darkness. He looked at the other three people eating boisterously with a face full of disdain. Picked up one from the cart, piece of steak and a pot of clear water, then returned to the darkness. Beast. Horse Gan chuckled and said to me, "Let's go." Eat something. I nodded and walked towards the cart with Beast Horse Gan. Young Master Sheng Zhu obsequiously picked up a piece of pork belly and handed it to me, saying, "Eat this." It's very fragrant. I rolled my eyes at him and didn't take the pork belly. Instead, picked up a piece of lean meat and started eating it. Young Master Sheng Zhu didn't care about my coldness and picked up a pot of wine to hand to me. This time I truly wasn't disliking young Master Sheng Zhu. It was just that the wine in the pot was too murky, and I couldn't really drink it. So I picked up a pot of clear water and gulped it down. Beast Horse Gan took young Master Sheng Zhu's wine pot and chuckled, saying, "Today, this old man is going to drink to his heart's content." A group of people gathered around the cart, eating and drinking, and the scene became lively for a while. My mouth was full. The only thing was, the meat was just simply boiled and then sprinkled with a layer of salt, but I ate it with great relish. While Big Brother Foolish and Little Guy weren't eating at all. They stuffed the meat into their mouths and swallowed it without even chewing. Thin Horse Gan ate meat and drank wine with a smile. Don't let his old age fool you. His teeth were excellent. Young Master Shen Zhu ate very quickly and soon couldn't eat anymore. Once his hunger was satisfied, he picked up a pot of wine and started talking to me again. "Little Su, you're so strong. Why don't you protect me next time?" I glanced at him and said, "I don't protect men who play with sticks." Men? If it were a woman, I might consider it. Young Master Shen Zhu gave a sly smile and said, "Then just treat me as a woman." I glanced at him again and said, "I don't like playing with shit." From the depths of the prison, Flower Butterfly's displeased voice came. "This old lady is eating dinner. Can you guys stop talking about such disgusting topics?" Young Master Shen Zhu, however, completely ignored him, laughed loudly, took a sip of wine, and said, "Interesting, truly interesting. Little Su, you truly are a wonderful person. The analogy of playing with shit is truly too vivid." I also think it shouldn't be wasted. Next time you can use a bone to wipe his mouth. From the darkness came Flower Butterfly's cold snort. Next time, it won't be his mouth that gets wiped. And a more young Master Sheng Zhu, terrified, covered his butt and cried out, "Don't mess around." I won't say anything. All right. I was amused by young Master Sheng Zhu's comical appearance. Beast Horse Gan also chuckled along. Big Brother Foolish didn't know what everyone was laughing at, but he also laughed along. Only Little Guy indifferently stuffed another piece of meat into his mouth. The prison cell was filled with laughter and smiles. But at this moment, the prison door suddenly opened. Everyone looked towards the door. This time, it wasn't soldiers who came in, but several prisoners dressed in fur robes. First to enter was a bare-chested man. His muscles bulged. His chest and back were covered in tattoos. One look and you knew he wasn't someone easy to talk to. After the tattooed man came in, he swept his gaze across the prison cell, and finally his eyes landed on the meat on the cart. I was stunned for a moment. I didn't expect there to be social people in this world too. I just don't know if he's really. The second to come in was a woman. Her chest was bulging, almost tearing through her fur robe. Although she had a large chest, she had a slender willow waist. Her whole person was very uncoordinated. Big Sister clung tightly to the tattooed man. The tattooed man's arm was buried between her two mounds. She seemed very timid and didn't dare to look. I watched, dumbfounded. I didn't expect this world to have such a natural milk cow. It was truly an eye-opener. The third to come in was a man as thin as Beast Horse Gan. He had crossed eyes, like a fighting cock, and his appearance was very comical. Cross-eyed man immediately looked around restlessly as soon as he entered. Seemingly in a very short time, he had figured out the status of everyone present. Finally, his gaze fell on Beast Horse Gan. I don't know why, but cross-eyed man's first impression on me was very bad. I always felt like he was scheming something when he looked at people. After everyone had entered, the soldier closed the prison door. Everyone in the prison cell watched them, but the tattooed man was very unceremoniously plopped down next to Big Brother Foolish. Big brother foolish and little guy. One only knew how to grin foolishly. The other only drooled. Young Master Shenzhou seemed to have no interest in the tattooed man, but was always studying the tattoos on his body. I was marveling at Big Sister's impressive assets, while Beast Horse Gan just kept chuckling. At this moment, Cross-Eyed Man broke the silence. He directly cupped his hands towards Beast Horse Gan and said, "Good sirs, this humble one has just arrived, and hopes for your kind consideration." Beast Horse Gan chuckled and said with a smile, "No need to be polite. No need to be polite. You must be hungry. Eat while it's hot. You're lucky today. You get meat to eat as soon as you arrive." Cross-Eyed Man respectfully nodded to Beast Horse Gan, then picked up a piece of meat and started chewing heartily. It seems he was really hungry. I couldn't help but look at Cross-Eyed Man with new respect at this moment. This person is a bit interesting. Even though he was hungry, he didn't forget his manners. This point was completely different from the tattooed man. Everyone watched them eat and drink. The tattooed man's appetite was very large. He almost ate all the remaining meat, while Big Sister and Cross-Eyed Man only ate a little. Beast Horse Gan saw that everyone was full and chuckled, saying everyone should rest early. Then everyone got up and returned to their usual spots to sit. The tattooed man found a corner and sat down. Big Sister sat down, clinging tightly to him, as if she had grown onto him, while Cross-Eyed Man, however, sat down next to Beast Horse Gan. Beast Horse Gan chuckled and didn't mind. Before these three came, the atmosphere in the prison cell was very harmonious, but now it was very quiet. The tattooed man was like a mute, not having said a word since entering the prison cell. Instead, Cross-Eyed Man kept talking to Beast Horse Gan, but he didn't pay attention to me, so I also enjoyed my peace. I also didn't pay attention to Cross-Eyed Man. Everyone seemed tired. My companions and I didn't get any sleep last night, and now needed rest. While the tattooed man and his group had just settled down and eaten a big meal, and were now also resting with their eyes closed. Cross-Eyed Man was very sensible, seeing that everyone was preparing to rest, so he also stopped talking. The prison cell fell silent. These past few days had been too tiring. It was rare for everyone to get a good rest. I also quickly fell asleep in a daze, but just as I was dreaming, suddenly, I heard heavy breathing beside my ear. I wasn't fully awake at the time. My mind was a bit hazy, so I didn't think much of it. But I vaguely heard a woman's crying sound. I frowned and got up. Following the sound, I looked and saw the tattooed man in the corner, panting heavily. A mass of bloody white was faintly visible beneath him. I shook my head. The tattooed man was truly wild. He had the nerve to do this in front of so many people. I turned over and lay down to continue sleeping. But as soon as I lay down, I saw Cross-Eyed Man, drenched in sweat, his eyes closed, trembling all over. He seemed very nervous. I was a bit puzzled, not knowing what was wrong with him, but I was too lazy to care about him. So I closed my eyes and went to sleep. The day passed in a hazy state. It wasn't until dark that the tattooed man finally stopped. I sat up, my eyes staring blankly. I hadn't slept soundly all day, feeling like I had many bad dreams. Now my mind was full of men's and women's voices. I resentfully looked at the tattooed man. I was shocked at that moment. I saw that the tattooed man seemed to have lost a lot of weight. His cheeks were pale, and he even had dark circles under his eyes. I sighed, secretly lamenting that young people truly didn't know moderation. I looked at Big Sister again. The tattooed man was already like this, so what had Big Sister been put through? I saw that Big Sister was still holding the tattooed man's arm. But her complexion was rosy, and her spirits were excellent. Even the 2 mounds on her chest seemed to have grown a bit larger. I sighed again. The old saying is indeed true. Only an ox that works itself to death. Never a field that's too bad to plow. I had no mind to care about the tattooed man and Big Sister's situation. So I sat up and looked at the person next to Beast Horse Gan. Cross-Eyed Man. I saw that Cross-Eyed Man's expression was normal, with no signs of illness whatsoever. I was a bit puzzled. Could it be that I had seen him wrong at the time, and Cross-Eyed Man's trembling then was just me dreaming? I looked at the others again. Little guy was helping Big Brother Foolish lick his nails. Beast Horse Gan was still resting with his eyes closed. Young Master Shenzhou, however, was looking at me. I didn't stand on ceremony with him and directly gave him a roll of my eyes. Just then, the prison door opened, and an officer walked in carrying a large basket. Inside the basket were steamed buns, and there was no wine today. Everyone saw that dinner had arrived, so they all got up and walked towards the door. The tattooed man, with Big Sister, walked first. Big Brother Foolish and Little Guy were second. Young Master Shen Zhu leisurely waited for me. Cross-eyed Man followed behind Beast Horse Gan, while Flower Butterfly also walked out from the darkness in the depths of the prison cell. The tattooed man didn't wait for everyone to line up and directly reached into the large basket. But a person blocked his way. I looked at that person, then looked beside me, and my eyes widened instantly. Holy shit. When did Beast Horse Gan dart over there? Can Beast Horse Gan teleport at this moment? Beast Horse Gan chuckled and said, the prison cell has rules. When eating, everyone lines up according to the number of people they killed on missions. To line up, the tattooed man's face fell, and he said the first words since entering. I don't care about your rules. I have my own rules. My eyebrow twitched. I didn't expect the tattooed man to be such a hothead. This time, there's a good show to watch. This was a good opportunity to see Beast Horse Gan's skills. But Beast Horse Gan didn't say anything more, just chuckled and looked at the tattooed man. While the tattooed man saw that Beast Horse Gan didn't answer and didn't move aside, and was about to erupt. But at this moment, Big Sister beside him squirmed a bit. The tattooed man turned his head to look at Big Sister, and with a cold snort, he moved to the back of the line. I watched, marveling. This tattooed man, a big tough guy, how could he listen to a woman? No. However, I didn't think too much about it. These few people were quite interesting. I still needed to observe them more. Today, Big Brother Foolish was still the first to take. Flower Butterfly was second to take. I was third in line. Little Guy was fourth in line. Young Master Shen Zhu was behind Little Guy. The tattooed man and Big Sister were together. Cross-eyed Man was last. Big Brother took 10 steamed buns. Flower Butterfly took 2. I took 5. When it was Little Guy's turn, he took out 3 steamed buns from the large basket, then plunged his head into the large basket. Young Master Shen Zhu took 1 steamed bun, then also handed 2 to Beast Horse Gan. Now, not a single steamed bun was left. The tattooed man immediately became furious and roared. How dare you mess with me? Beast Gan chuckled and said with a chuckle, these are the rules. If you want to eat, kill more people next time. What kind of bullshit rules? Give your steamed buns to me. Beast Horse Gan chuckled and said, I'm right here. If you have the guts, come and take them. The tattooed man immediately reached out to grab Beast Horse Gan's steamed buns. But as soon as his hand reached halfway, a strange thing happened. The tattooed man's hand quickly turned half black, and only half of it turned black. The part of his hand within 1 meter of Beast Horse Gan turned black. At that moment, the tattooed man's expression changed. His hand lost all sensation. The tattooed man, frightened, immediately pulled his hand back. Then his hand instantly returned to normal. The tattooed man looked at his hand. His sensation had returned. Then, not believing in evil, he reached out his hand towards Beast Horse Gan again. But the strange thing happened again. When the tattooed man's hand reached within 1 meter, his hand turned black again. This time, the tattooed man quickly pulled his hand back. Then his hand returned to normal, but the tattooed man no longer dared to reach out his hand. What did you do to me? What? Beast Horse Gan smiled and didn't speak. I, who was currently biting into a steamed bun, exclaimed, Splendid. Beast Horse Gan's move, though I didn't understand it. I was greatly shocked. Beast Horse Gan truly deserved to be the boss of the prison cell. I thought he only relied on the things in his box, those bottles and jars to poison people. But now Beast Horse Gan didn't have a single bottle on him, yet could still give. And the most incredible thing was that this poison only worked within a 1 meter radius in front of Beast Horse Gan. While he himself was unaffected, the tattooed man now dared not attack Beast Horse Gan, but he didn't want to swallow this insult. So he turned his head and reached towards my steamed buns. My face darkened instantly. Daring to snatch my steamed buns was like asking for my life. I couldn't tolerate this. Without thinking, I directly slapped and knocked the tattooed man's hand away. I didn't use my full strength for this slap. If I had used my full strength, the tattooed man's hand would have been shattered. At this moment, I still wanted to watch the show. This tattooed man, like a hothead, dared to offend people as soon as he arrived, so there would be more fun to watch later. So I also didn't want to kill the tattooed man. If I wanted to kill him, it wouldn't have been his hand I slapped. But the tattooed man seemed unaware that I had just spared his life. and still thought about grabbing my steamed buns again. But at this moment, young Master Sheng Zhu blocked my path. Don't push your luck. You want to eat steamed buns, right? Agree to one condition. My steamed buns are yours. The tattooed man looked at young Master Sheng Zhu's dark circles and said, "What condition?" Young Master Sheng Zhu gave a sly smile and said, "How about you let me play with the chick behind you for day?" A golden light burst forth from the tattooed man's eyes. I thought he was going to get angry, but unexpectedly, the tattooed man grinned. "Okay, you can have her." The tattooed man finished speaking and pushed Big Sister beside him. That Big Sister's waves immediately surged. Young Master Sheng Zhu didn't look at Big Sister, but stared at the tattooed man until the tattooed man became impatient. "Hey, you damn, do you want her or not?" Young Master Sheng Zhu, however, gave a sly smile and said, "No, I don't. I was just teasing you. You can have this steamed bun." Young Master Sheng Zhu Gongzi said, and threw the steamed bun to the tattooed man. The tattooed man, without thinking, stuffed the steamed bun into his mouth. And at this moment, Big Sister returned to the tattooed man's side and clung tightly to him. I was puzzled. Didn't young Master Sheng Zhu like men with handles? How come he wanted Big Sister instead of the tattooed man to accompany him for a night of fun? And what surprised me even more was that the tattooed man actually agreed to young Master Sheng Zhu's request just like that, as if this condition wasn't important at all. Just as I was puzzled, the tattooed man suddenly raised his head at me and said, "Kid, you give me a steamed bun, and I'll let this chick accompany you for a night. How about that?" I was stunned for a moment, then gave a sly smile. I didn't answer the tattooed man, but instead put all the steamed buns in my hand, into my mouth. Then I turned around and left.